Saipan International Airport, also known as Francisco C.Ada. Saipan International Airport is a public airport located on Saipan Island in the United States Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. The airport is owned by Commonwealth Ports Authority. Its airfield was previously known as Aslito and Isely Field. Although most U.S. airports use the same three-letter location identifier for the FAA and IATA, Saipan International Airport is assigned GSN by the FAA and SPN by the IATA. History: World War II. Saipan International Airport was a sugarcane field before the Imperial Japanese Navy Air Service constructed a temporary landing field on the site. In 1933, the landing field was used for training purposes and had two runways configured in an L pattern. In 1937, the Navy began upgrading the airfield for full military use. Despite an international law ban on constructing military facilities within the South Pacific Mandate, following the attack against the United States in 1941, the field was named Aslito Field, based on the indigenous Chamorro name for the area of its location, Aslito. The IJNAS assigned two squadrons of Mitsubishi A6M5A52Zeros to the airfield in mid-June 1944. These squadrons took part in the occupation of the Mariana Islands during the Battle of the Philippine Sea later that month, being almost wiped out by the American forces during the battle. The airfield was liberated by the United States Army 27th Infantry Division on June 18, 1944 during the Battle of Saipan. During the battle, a Zero from Guam actually landed at Aslito Airfield, the pilot being unaware that the field was under American control. As it landed, the aircraft was fired and damaged, crashing at the end of the runway. The pilot survived and the plane was captured. The field was renamed Isely Field after United States Navy Commander Robert H. Isely, who was killed on June 13, 1944, while strafing the base. Once in American hands, Isely Field was expanded considerably to support 20th Air Force B-29 Superfortress operations. The 21 Bomber Command had been assigned the overall responsibility of the B-29 operations out of the Marianas bases, and Isely Field was to be used by the 73rd Bombardment Wing. On 12 October 1944, the first B-29 Jolton Josie, the Pacific Pioneer, piloted by Brigadier General Hayward S. Hansel, commanding general of 21 Bomber Command, and co-piloted by Major Jack J. Catton of the 873d Bombardment Squadron, arrived at Isely Field. By November 22, over 100 B-29s were at Isely. The 21 Bomber Command was assigned the task of destroying the aircraft industry of Japan in a series of high-altitude, daylight precision attacks. After several months of disappointing high-level bombing attacks from Isely, General Curtis LeMay, commander of 20th Air Force, issued a new directive that the high-altitude, daylight attacks be phased out and replaced by low-altitude, high-intensity incendiary raids at nighttime, being followed up with high-explosive bombs once the targets were set ablaze. These nighttime attacks on Japan proved devastatingly effective, and the Superfortress missions from Isely Field led to massive destruction of industrial targets in Japan, with large industrial areas of Tokyo, Nagoya, and Osaka being repeatedly attacked by waves of American bombers flying from the Marianas until the war's end. In response to these attacks, most of the Japanese air attacks on the Mariana Islands between November 1944 and January 1945 targeted Isely Field. The airfield and surviving World War II facilities were listed on the National Register of Historic Places status in 1981 as the Isely Field Historic District, and are a contributing element of the National Historic Landmark District. Landing beaches Aslito, Isely Field, and Abasaa Point, Saipan Island, which was designated in 1985. Post-war, with the end of the war, the Wing's 4 bomb groups were all returned to the United States, with the B-29s either being flown to Clark Air Base in the Philippines for scrapping, or were flown to storage facilities in Texas or Arizona. The 73D bomb wing was reassigned to the United States in December 1945. The airfield was returned to civil control and it reverted to being called Aslito Field. Saipan International Airport commenced operation on the 25th of July 1976, taking over from the nearby Abasaa Field. Continental Micronesia initially had its main hub at Abasaa Field and then Saipan Airport. As time passed, the airline's general traffic to and from Saipan had decreased due to the breakup of the Trust Territory of the Pacific Islands, because the territory was subdivided into smaller political units. Fewer people needed to travel to Saipan, the former capital of the Trust Territory. On July 15, 2008, the airline's Manila-Saipan flight, the final remaining continental Micronesia directly operated flight, ended. Japanese tourists began visiting Saipan in large numbers during the 1970s. The airfield and terminal were significantly upgraded in 1975 to handle wide-body aircraft. In 2005, Japan Airlines suspended its services from Japan to SPN. Routes to Osaka and Nagoya were taken over by Northwest Airlines. The airport was also renamed after former LT Gov. Francisco C.Ada that year. A Star Marianas plane crashed during takeoff on November 17, 2012 on its return from Tinian. 1 person was confirmed dead. Facilities and aircraft. Saipan International Airport covers an area of 734 acres which contains 2 paved runways, measures 8,700 by 200 feet, measures 7,001 by 100 feet. For 12-month period ending December 31, 2005, the airport had 39,542 aircraft operations, an average of 108 per day, 61% air taxi, 19% general aviation, 18% scheduled commercial and 1% military. Airlines and destinations.